We back. Another Can We Keep It Real podcast. What's going on, everybody, man? We're going into week 2. A lot of good football to go this week. A lot of teams didn't even really get a chance to play yet. They'll be playing their first game tonight. But a big shout out to people that helped me make this possible. Shout out Mark Wright, co-op banker, Coastal Homes, Presidential Award winner. Give them a call if you're looking to buy a house. If you want to help up the podcast, definitely you can make a donation. You could just scan that with Cash App. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Voice Sports. They came on last night. They're on Tuesday nights. They're talking about a lot of things that coaches want to say but can't say. You should really check that episode out. It was on last night. We reacted to some pretty funny videos. And if you have a custom card, bring it down to Musqueamicut Beach Sunday. You bring your custom card down to the car show. You and your family get free admission to the Fall Fest going on September 17th to the 19th on Musqueamicut Beach. Real good time. But thank you, everybody that helps me out, makes this possible. I really appreciate it. But let's bring in the North Smithfield Mount St. Charles coach. He's been really tested, I guess, through the off season. We had him on a couple of weeks. He's already being tested. He definitely got he's got a good season up ahead of him. How you doing, Coach?
Good, Mikey. How are you?
How's the goose crap?
We're still in it, but we're happy to be playing.
I cut that episode out. I think I shared it on Twitter. I wonder if the superintendent. I really hope the superintendent had a chance to hear what the boys had to say about them.
Yeah, the boys had a great time. They're still talking about it. So
good. Yeah, they're always welcome. Maybe after this week's game, we'll see how it goes. You could definitely bring them back in. Good group of kids.
Yeah, what I'm actually hoping to do is hook up with you after each of our games. We have no home field, so I was thinking whoever stood out during the game can sit next to me in the front seat of the bus, and we'll hit you up on the way home.
Oh, that would be awesome. We have a lot of coaches that have been participating in that. Coach Blake, Coach Dunbar. We've been talking to Coach Washington. Wes, always my guy, doing his thing. I think Wes is at the movies tonight. I think there's a premiere of a new movie about fatherless homes, and I know he's a big advocate for the youth. So shout out to Wes Pennington.
He sure is. He works tirelessly in that aspect. Great guy.
You got to see the video last night. We had I've been bringing on Tuesday nights a group of youth reporters all over the country: North Carolina, South Carolina, Ohio, Maryland. We talked to an athletic director that actually runs a mobile athletic department where she goes to schools, helping schools get these kids into colleges, something that a lot of these school administrations need somebody like that. But you should check that show out. All coaches should. A lot of things that coaches deal with that they want to say, but they never will say, but it was just very funny. The millennial coach versus the tough coach, how to balance them. Very good show.
But, I'll have to check it out.
Charahoe this week, huh?
Yeah, it's game 1 for us. I expect them to be extremely tough, extremely physical. I know they played Westerly tough, which is no small task in and of itself. So I'm fully expecting to see a pretty solid team, a team that I expect to be in the top of the division.
Yeah, Charahoe surprised me against Westerly. And when I talked to Coach Dunbar after the game, he said, I got to say, going into halftime, I was nervous. Charahoe pulls it back up by 1. It looked like the halftime adjustments Wesley was able to pull away, have a 20-3 second half of the game. So, good game.
I know in the spring, we didn't get to see him. But from the film I saw of them in the spring, they were well coached and they did a lot of great things. So I fully expect them to be pretty solid.
Yeah, second-year coach, I think it's Coach Russo, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to him. I like what he's doing with Charahoe. Small school, tough community. You have Charlestown, Hopkinton, and I want to say Ashaway or one of the other towns, but very small town. So it's tough to get kids, and Westerly takes a lot of them kids away too because the communities are so close.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. All the small schools in the small towns, they have their ups and downs. You get blessed with a good class. You have a couple of good years. You have a couple of thin classes, and you have a couple of struggling years. So goes the small public school.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, in the future, I hope they let schools do more with the Pathways program, with the sports programs, do more with Pathways, because I know Pathways is a great, great program, especially in a state this size. I don't see where the problem is, but until they loosen it up a little and let sports programs, have an inside look at Pathways, it's kind of tough.
Right, right. And the Pathways program would be a great opportunity for us, North Smithfield. Academically, we're a top 5 high school in the state year in and year out. Um, so for a kid to maybe leave a less academic city or town to come get an education at North Smithfield, um, you'd think a lot of parents would take a chance to jump at that. So, yeah, I'd like to see that the pathways definitely be more active,
Well,
especially.
we have exactly. We got these small schools, that can really have a chance to build a great sports program with a good education.
Yep.
But the communities seem to be divided, like the world's divided on something. You know what I mean? So, and it's like that's I'm seeing so much divide in that. You have so much opportunity in Rhode Island to build a great sports program and give the kids a great education at the same time.
Yeah, and just speaking for myself, North Smithfield, you know, we're low on numbers with all our sports programs. So for a lot of kids, it would be a win-win.
Yes.
Come get a great education, help out a sports program, and you know what? Maybe even have the ability to play where you're not gonna be able to see the field in some of these other big cities and big programs.
No, yeah, the kids will stick out big time. I was looking at your schedule. I kind of not too bad. You get your Charahoe, and then you have Johnston and Pilgrim. Tough teams.
Yep.
They're not going to be a walk in the park. Johnston loses a few players. Pilgrim, just a different. Coach Blake is just different this season. He wants all the challenges. So no matter who they play, they were down in the injury fund to EG by 2 scores. They come back, they win by 1. They were down last week, played a tough Tolman. So very tough team. Shout out to Coach Blake. You know, and then you play a Middletown, Tollgate. You know, and then Central Falls. How do you feel about your schedule?
If we've got to find a way to survive the first couple for sure. Um, I fully expect Charahoe, Johnston, Pilgrim to be near the top of Division 3, probably along with Narragansett. We'll have something to, and I think the other teams are going to be kind of with us, right? Fighting to be that 4, 5, 6, 7 spot. I think it'll be close and competitive um, the rest of the way. I don't think there's any layups by any stretch of the imaginations on our schedule, and we're just trying to not be the layup.
I mean, in your division, I mean, I noticed them Division 3, Division 4. I think Division 4 is getting a little it's getting a little smoky over there. Them teams competing, Conagansett, just opening up a big can of whip butt on Juanita Sanchez, and you expect that. Some say they should have won by 80. You know,
Well, you kind of knew that coming into the season. Last spring, Conagansett was loaded for bear. You know, they ran into a Division 3 school in Narragansett that moved down and won the Super Bowl. Um, we left Division 4 last spring, fully expecting Pontiac to be the team to beat in Division 4, and they didn't have a lot of seniors on that, or active seniors on that roster. There was a lot of juniors. So this year they're pretty senior heavy. Pontiac is loaded in Division 4. They're going to be tough to deal with.
They did lose a few linemen. They lost one, two, and look at this. I knew this was coming. Spadin said we're coming, and that was the team I was going to get at right after Pontiac. But let's stick to Pontiac for a minute. You look at a team that's run heavy, and they're really not. And I know your kids, and I wanted to see you guys play Pontiac in the injury fund so bad, and I know your kids. That was their red letter game. If you want to have a red letter game, that was the game that your kids wanted. They run. They have some good running backs, but can their line sustain? My opinion, can their line sustain a whole season, and can they pass the ball? Do you just load the box and press the receivers? So we'll have to see. It's a long season. Scituate's coming hot. EWG's coming. Tiverton's in the mix.
Well, Scituate had a good weekend last weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat Hope. I think it was 24-12, 25-12. They have a good quarterback, good running back coming up. Their running back in the next couple of years should be up there.
That's big congratulations to those guys and that coaching staff. I haven't met any of those guys yet, but I certainly have seen them and on your show. And like I said, every interview I've seen with those guys, Coach D, love his energy. I love the way he talks about his program. And there's no question that
exactly.
They're going to find some success this year.
You hear that, Coach D? Get up in here. Get up in here. We need to talk. That's my guy, Coach D. I love what he's doing at Scituate. I think Scituate, they have the kids, they have the town behind them, because they're hungry. Just like a lot of these football teams this season, we didn't really have a lot of football. So when these kids had a chance to show out Friday night, they came out big time, man. But I love what you're doing up there in North Smithfield.
We're trying. We've got to get through a year with very low numbers. Luckily, only 11 guys go on the field at once. So as long as the right 11 are out there, we'll be able to hang in, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You got to tell your seniors, you all can't come to practice tomorrow without a +1. You got to bring a +1. That is your job. But you're right. Low numbers, a lot of places. Only a couple schools have positive numbers, and very few. Like Central's in a position where they're making cuts.
I wish I had that problem.
But in all fairness to Coach Washington, he only has 55 sets of helmets, 55 uniforms. So what do you do at that point, But yeah, a lot of schools, and we need to get these kids out here. Coach Ferraro said, "Are the kids burnt out? Is that why they're not coming out? COVID, short off season, passing leagues, so."
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's a burnout issue. I don't think it was in terms of our situation. We had pretty good excitement of kids coming, and all the guys that finished the spring season came out this fall. We just didn't have a strong enough influx with graduating a couple of big numbered classes.
Yeah, because you're coming off a Super Bowl, really. I mean, minus the COVID season, that was kind of a handout,
Yeah.
I mean, but you're coming off a championship season, you went through COVID.
Yeah, so off that Super Bowl team, which is 2 classes, we've graduated 30 kids.
Wow,
in a program that only holds 40 on a good year. So, just had a huge turnover. 2 years worth of kids gone with, 5 or 6 kids to replace 15 is, the numbers don't add up. So we've got to do a better job. Like even our youth program with the Express, they do a great job. But they're a co-opt youth program. So it's Blackstone Millville and North Smithfield. And, there's a lot of Blackstone, Massachusetts kids playing where the North Smithfield kids aren't. So that's definitely part of our big goal into the future is to get the younger kids playing football in town again.
Yeah, that would be good, and I hope when your turf field is completed, which will be by the Narragansett game in October, I believe, right?
We hope we hope so. We hope so. It's discouraging to look up there and see it look the same as it did the day before, day in and day out. Um, so
I would love your superintendent if he wants to come talk about it, the field, because, kudos to him, like I talked about last time, it's great that you guys are getting another field, so I mean, shout out to your superintendent, and maybe more superintendents should take his lead.
yeah, he backs the schools, he backs the kids. He's very supportive of the athletic programs, and the school committee and the town council, have to approve all that work as well. So
Yes.
everybody's been on board with that, and it's a slow process. And COVID affects other things besides just whether or not these kids are on the field. They affects all the shipping of materials and whatnot, and the accessibility of us being able to do this construction project. So we're hoping to have it ready for them to play.
Yeah, I'm hoping it is too. But coach, thank you very much. Shout out to your players, shout out to your coaches, shout out to all the parents, man, and everybody for making it happen. I talked to Coach Mike that was with you guys in 2019, and
He's
he
my guy.
said, "Look, yeah, he's good people." I told Luck he might be a good luck charm. He goes to Coventry, gets the Super Bowl, and but they have a tough road ahead of them. That's
The guy
for sure.
that out coach.
Yes, definitely, man. But thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon, and we'll definitely talk after your win this week. Go get them.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you Friday.
Yes, sir. All right, bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Coach Pavia over there, North Smithfield, Mount St. Charles. Doing a great job over there. Coach Eddie, come on in. Tap the link on the Facebook page. Let's have a quick conversation. See how that defense is coming. Big game, St. Ray's this week. But before we talk about that, what are we thinking about Division 4? EWG. Now I've been told I don't give D4 enough love, so I'm trying to go out of the way. Especially, Coach Fortin says I don't give D4 enough love. I guess obviously, But Scituate EWG this week. Two good coaches, two young coaches, two staffs that are led by decent guys. You have Coach Eddie over there at Scituate, who's been involved in football for a long, long time. Big supporter of a lot of things that I do. Shout out to little Colin. You know what I mean? I'm glad that little boy's playing football. Heard he had a good game a couple of weeks ago. But there's a lot of great coaches throughout the league, that are being led by great coaches, that really have a chance to bring them guys, somewhere. So we'll see how that EWG game goes this week. We're waiting on Coach Emerson to come in. We're going to talk some officiating tonight. What questions would you have for Emerson about officiating? Now, we can't back him into a corner or expect him to talk about another official's ruling. But what questions would you have from your experience last week? Let me know for sure, and we'll definitely ask him. Listen, if you got a classic car, come down to the Musqueamick Estate Beach, Sunday, September 19th. You bring your car, you and your family will get free admission into the festival hosted by the Doc and the Wolf. It's actually in honor of Big John Olis, who used to promote the car show down the beach. The Back to the Future car is going to be there. Dukes of Hazzard car is going to be there, and you get free admission. Not really sure what happened over there at Johnson High School today. I know the governor was supposed to be over there talking about sports and the vaccine. They're going to have clinics at some of your games. Give me a quick second while I play this video. We'll wait for Emerson to get up in here. We back. Don't forget, check out Fall Fest. If you have a classic car on the 19th, they said they'll give you some free admission. You and your family could get in. There's going to be a good time. Have some rides, concerts, the Back to the Future car, all that good stuff. Let's bring in our guy, Emerson Kilgore, 401 Strength and Fitness. Let me get this beautiful piece of artwork off the screen. What's up, Em? How we doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
All right, not bad. I see you still in the office. Thank you for coming on. I figured, nice time. We should talk officiating once in a while. You know what I mean? It's always, keep it relevant, educate some people.
Yes.
Not that they're not educated.
Well, I think it's this, and actually, but before we talked about this, I actually had a conversation with a couple people about being an official. And, one of the things, and again, everyone understands it's the game of football. However, football's broken down into three separate categories. There's high school, there's college, and there's NFL. And fourth, honestly, if you really want to look into it, because of youth. But, looking into high school, college, and NFL, it's the same game, but it's governed by three different governing bodies, and the rules are, some are the same, some are different. And a lot of people, and again, it's very common, get some of them confused. In my position as being an official, I'm an umpire. I'm the guy in the middle. I'm the guy who, make sure everything's on the up and up, and make sure that people are doing what they need to do. It's something that a lot of folks kind of like, okay, well, man, we see you there. What exactly do you do? I'm actually in a position where I have been in for my entire football playing career, which is in the trenches. I watch the offense and defensive lines, and I'm making sure guys aren't going off sides, and in encroachment, holding, things along those lines. And again, what a lot of people don't understand is, now a lot of those rules are somewhat similar across the board, but one of the things you have to understand is that there's a lot of times where a play's going, and I get this a lot. Like there'll be a player will come up to me as like Mr. Referee or coach or whichever, that guy's holding me, and I'm like, okay, I'll check it, and then he keeps saying like, okay, he keeps going on and on and on. One thing a lot of people have to understand is that if players are holding you and it's away from where the play is being formed, then it's not going to be called unless it's something that's going to risk safety. And I think that's probably one of the bigger issues that I have. It's like, oh, you're not watching me. I'm like, can't just watch you. Like every once in a while, yes, I can watch a particular player. Like, okay, if someone comes to me 2 and 3 times, okay, he's holding me. I can check them for a couple of seconds, but as the play is developing, my eyes got to roll with the play, because that's, the point of attack, where the play's going, is where the majority of eyes need to be. So, my responsibility is I basically have the backside tackle into the front side guard, and then the white hat, the referee, has the front side tackle and on. So yes, if the play is developing, for example, and yes, my eyes are in the back, but I have to start rolling because there needs to be a focus on where the point of attack is. So I know that's one of the major issues that people have a hard time understanding, is that it's like there's 5 guys on the field watching 22, and I honestly it's easy to sit on the sideline, but okay, you keep missing this, you keep missing that, where where our eyes need to be are where our eyes are. And yes, there's going to be things that are missed. That's absolute. I've definitely walked up to coaches and see certain things, and it happened to me last year. I believe it was the Central game, and there was I was watching, and the play was a pass, and when the lineman went 4 or 5 yards down the field, and that's not what you need to do. So it's he did it 3 times, and I'm like, all right, well, so the first time it was to the backside of me, so again I didn't see it because the quarterback was rolling. Okay, so I did my best to look there, but also you have to keep in mind, like, I have to look at a lot of keys. So the big thing is, the bottom line is that, as much as, because I hear it all the time, the refs this, the refs that, blah, blah, blah. I honestly, I would ask anyone to step on our shoes for just one time, or one game, I would say, and see how this really is. Because I remember my first year trying to be an official. And I thought I had an edge because all the years of football that I played. I played at a high level. I coached I'd already coached in college. I had coached in Mass. I had some coaching experience in Canada. And I'm coming in here like, okay, I really know this game. And come to find out, I knew probably about 35 to 40% of what I really needed to know. That first year was really a true indication of how much I needed to learn to become a really good official. And it took some time, and but I one of the things I hate hearing, though, to be honest with you, is like, the refs lost us this game. That to me, that's simply not true. Like, we don't have favorites. A lot of people say that all the time, and it's like that's just not the case. And to be honest with you, one of the bigger problems is, and this is where I'm not calling out any of the coaches in particular, but there's times where your players aren't disciplined. There's times where your players are just getting emotional, and stuff like that. Like, I think Nick Friedman said it. Yes, football is an emotional game, or I think he put it, the football is a game of emotion, but it's not to get emotional. And I agree with that. It's something that I see a lot of teams. They get wrapped up, and again, I've been there. I obviously have playing experience. I definitely understand where a lot of players are coming from with that, but it's just really tough to hear. Like, we don't have favorites. We don't care who wins. We just want a well participated in just a safe game, and that's what their officials are there for. And folks start yelling and going nuts and threatening to beat people up and stuff like that. It's like it's pathetic. And that's where that emotional part comes in. That's where I come. Yeah, I know for a fact. I've been on both sides of it. Obviously, there's one play is one flag is thrown. One coach is going to love it. One coach isn't. I get it, but at the end of the day, the officials are doing the best they can, and that's really it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Let me read this first. I agree. Human error happens. There's so much on, and as a coach to do and take, it's frustrating on officials. No, I bet it definitely is. And I'm sure we all make errors. And as a lot of these first time officials we have here in Rhode Island, it's a different speed. It's not youth football. Everything's faster. You got 5 guys out there on the field, so I'm trying to understand everybody's point of view. And I thought that's why it'd be a great idea to bring Emerson on and talk about different parts of the officiating game, different, maybe some rules that we're not too clear about, and um, get a little bit more of understanding. And the other reason, big part of bringing Emerson on and talk about officiating, is getting some of these young kids to stay connected to the game by being an official, because the league definitely needs officials, and you can make a few bucks doing it.
Absolutely. I'll definitely say that, this year, it's not that we're short, but, with the experience guys, there's a lot of people who, a lot of people that were officials that have decided to call it quits. They've been in it for a long time, and, all the guys that I know that left, I have much respect for, and, they've done a great job, but, they decided to move on and leave, which is fine. And we do have some new guys and ladies here. I think we have three female officials, which is great. As applicants, I think that's excellent. And we welcome all. And the one thing I want to make another point here, because I know is a lot of folks have said that yes, we do have 15 new officials, blah blah, which we do. But one of the things people have to understand is that even though we do have new officials, this is their very first year, and they may be on the field, they're surrounded by people who have a lot of experience. Okay, so it's not like it's one entire crew with 4 new guys, or two guys and 2 girls and one head official. That's not how it works. Obviously the people, the guys who do the scheduling, obviously keep that in mind. Obviously the first year people need to get more experience, which is fine, but we will never put teams in a situation like that where there's that much inexperience on the field at one time. I remember my first game, I believe it was Pontiganson and Lincoln. This is going back a few years ago. I believe that was a game. And I know it was at Lincoln. I don't know if it was Pontiganson or not, but it was at Lincoln. And I remember that first varsity game, and I remember seeing a play and thinking it was one thing, and then so I threw my flag, and the head ref was like, "Yeah, I kind of saw that. I kind of saw what you saw, Emerson, but in that situation, you don't make a call like that." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And again, not that it was a mistake. I saw what I saw, but it was like in that situation, it didn't really affect the play. So he said that's not a call that you normally make. And again, it was a rookie mistake, and that's going to happen. And there's going to be games where you do have a guy or a girl in there, and guess what? Something like that will happen. It's not the end of the world, okay? It's something that you got to go through. It's kind of the growing pains of being an official, and you just move on from it. So yes, and again, I completely understand. That might hurt us, and I understand that. And there's nothing that really that I can say more about that. But I mean, the bottom line is that in order for officials to become good officials, they have to go through the growing pains, and that's what for the most part they do. But honestly, I think that as a whole, the Rhode Island's Officials Association is a fantastic job of doing what they need to do, and keeping everyone safe. That's the number one thing, keeping everyone safe and keeping these games going. I think that's the number one thing, regardless of what anyone's saying or think they're saying, whatever. That's really the bottom line. So, I can definitely tip my hat off to all the guys that are and ladies that are doing this, and it's going to get better. As each year progresses, and you get more people, and the people that are here get more experience, and everything else is going to get better. But it's going to take time, and people need to be patient, which unfortunately people aren't. But kind of is what it is with that. So. I mean, it's a growing process, and people just have to be patient and work with us.
See that, people? I told you there's no officials at home saying I can't wait to get that 10-year-old boy and throw a flag on him Saturday morning. I just seen that little meme. I needed a chance to throw it out there, but you're absolutely right, and we all make mistakes, at this game. Coaches make mistakes, There's a lot of times me want to say, "Oh, nice coach, nice way to screw that up."
Right.
You know what I mean? But it happens, human error. The kids, it happens at so fast. But we just have a beautiful game, football, great community, So great games this week, Emerson, huh? St. Ray's, Westerly. I think that's going to be a good game. Can Westerly stay in it? Would that be a win for Westerly if they stayed close?
Well, all I say is this. So I officiated the game, St. Ray's versus North Kingston. I think that was a really good game, very hard-hitting game. Obviously, St. Ray's came out on top. I do distinctly remember their third quarter of them literally running the ball for about 3/4 of the game, and I mean they look solid. I mean, they look really, really good. I mean, as far as the Wesley game, again, Coach Dunbar and his staff are doing a really good job down there. Shout out to him doing his thing down there. Is all I can say is going to be a good game. Yeah, I'm not really into predictions that much because honestly, I'm a firm believer on any given Sunday or Saturday or any given Friday, whichever. But ultimately, what I look forward to is good games and good results. I mean, I think that game's going to be one of the highlighted games of the week. I would definitely say. I think that honestly, Wesley has something to prove going into this game, and I think that I think it's going to be a great battle. So I'm very interested to see what Coach Dunbar is going to do, and honestly, I'm interested to see what Coach Asher is going to do as well. Two really solid coaches and really good teams. So I anticipate a good game, and like I said, I'm not going to do any predictions, but I think there's definitely going to be a game to watch this week.
Two coaches that actually both have a connection in Rhode Island history. When you talk about Rhode Island sports history, Dunbar coming to Coach Sassy, let me quarterback, let me do it. And, he gives him the opportunity, record number of yards that year, wins a state championship, in D1. And I know Coach Dunbar, Coach Sassy, high regards, high regards.
Absolutely.
Coach Steve Storr will be on soon. We'll be talking to Coach Steve Storr soon. He's going to break down. So I want to hear that Cranston history. He win the championship out there. I would love for them coaches, And I told Coach Storr, I said, people asked you to come on the podcast. And he was kind of like, you're kidding me. And I wanted to let him know that you're important. Like what you have done, coaching all these years, staying connected to the game. Like I didn't want him to ever forget that, and I wanted to let him know that people appreciate him, and we definitely can't forget about guys like Coach Storr and Coach Bell. Let's see.
There's something to be said about longevity. People that have been in the game for a long time. Always people that come and go. They come, they have their time, they leave. It's also, it's definitely something to be said for coaches that have been here for quite some time. And have had a relatively decent success. That's a tough thing to do. These coaches that have done their thing and continue to do their thing and stay around. That's good. I mean, it's always good to get the new blood in, and I definitely can respect that because that's definitely what's going on in Rhode Island, and it's definitely something that's needed. But also giving giving the credit to some of these coaches who have been here for a while and are still working with these young men and young ladies and really getting stuff done. So they deserve credit too there. So it's definitely something to be said because, like I said, longevity definitely does mean something. As much as people are quick to say whatever they want to say and everything else, but ultimately, that is something that should be respected for guys that have been at this for a long time, and continue to work with these young men and young ladies. It's a good thing to see.
Definitely, and I've been telling you I want to get a lot of the old time, not even call them old timers disrespectfully, but the recoach reels, and just hear them old school stories and that we don't get to relive one day, and it's history, especially as football huddles, as some call us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I like the Rhode Island history. Sometimes I'll go on the Rhode Island history sports page and I'll look at some of them 1935 teams. Central had a basketball team that was phenomenal. I looked at some of them old Mount Pleasant Central rivalries at Conley Field.
Mhm.
Some wars.
Yep.
So I want to bring these legendary coaches on, that really did great things in this game of ours.
And it might, and to that, I mean, and it's good to also look back, and look at the history, and look how far we've come. I know, and I tell kids this often with my story and how, not too many Division I schools are looking in Rhode Island, during my time, and I was one of the blessed few to get a Division I scholarship when I did, but now it's a little bit different. But when I tell kids, how it was when I was in high school, and what I had to do was like, it wasn't me hitting the button and then all of a sudden the coach was getting my film. It was me sending that VHS tape, in the post office, and hoping it's not destroyed, and getting it to these coaches. So again, I remember doing it when, I remember sending my film to Syracuse when they had sent the flyer and I sent it back, and I started getting, the call from some of the coaches, and this is actually a funny story, and so I remember that. So I remember the first time I talked to my position coach at Syracuse, and my position coach at Syracuse was Ed Ogeron, who's the head coach at LSU right now, and so I get on the phone and I hear this deep Cajun voice in the back of my head, in the back of my mind, like, who in the God's green earth is this? So he's sitting there talking, like, Emerson, how you doing in school? I was in a math class. I was struggling there a little bit, and I got the grades up, and he's sitting there, and I'm just hearing on the other side of his phone this deep Cajun accent, and I'm just like, man. And obviously he had come down. I got to meet him and the head coach, Paul Pasqualoni. And obviously it's a good thing. They had a coaches clinic here, and everything went well. But I just remember him. He was talking to me while I was at Pilgrim, and I never forget this. And he was just like, Emerson, where you're going, if you come here, it's definitely gonna be different football than what you're used to here. In the back of my head, it's like, yeah, I already know that. But I'm like, yes, coach, you are absolutely right. And he was so spot on. It was crazy, but it was a good experience. But all that, going back to the original point, is there wasn't a button I hit. I had to send the VHS tapes. I sent them all, to Maryland, NC State, and other teams that were recruiting me, and that was a rarity here. A lot of Division I teams didn't spend a lot of time looking at Rhode Island football. And I know that the other two gentlemen that were already there, that were already playing Division I, a gentleman by the name of Mike Cloud and Buddy Rogers, who were running backs. Mike went to Boston College, and Buddy went to East Providence. He went to Maryland from East Providence. Was had to do his thing there, but but it was just funny to see. And you talk to kids about, like, you had to do all that, and half these kids don't even know what a VCR is now. But it's like that's what it took, and and a lot of coaches, you send a lot of film and you never got a response back with a lot of kids. So but things have changed now, and again, that goes to that. Give credit to all these coaches and honestly, all these athletes are really stepping up and doing their thing. And again, and I'll be the first one to say it, and I know it's going to be on record here, it's just not one school in Rhode Island, it's a whole bunch. Okay, so, I've always said this, and I tell them it's my story and others as well. It's like a lot of folks are looking now in Rhode Island. They're not looking at one school, they're looking at more. Okay, there's a lot of kids right now that are being looked at, and it's because they work hard and they continue to work hard, and they continue to get it done both on and off the field. And that's the bottom line. So, and it's a good thing because, as we all say, and it's the God's honest truth, fall one can ball. There's no question about it. We have athletes here, I don't want to get into that, but the one thing, and it's always bothered me, and it bothered me again when I heard a couple weeks ago, when I went to Syracuse, the same thing. Oh, you guys play football in Rhode Island, and lo and behold, Quiddy Pay, who I coached him when he was at Edgewood Eagles. Kid was a great kid, loved his family. Family was great. Obviously, everyone knows what he's done in Michigan, and now he's in the NFL. For someone to sit there and say, and I don't know who it was, but I heard on that film, they play football in Rhode Island. Okay, again, the disrespect. But honestly, that's something that I dealt with at Syracuse from 1996 to 2000. Okay, there's no respect. Okay, and that's across the board. Yeah, we're not a Texas, we're not Georgia or Florida or California or Arizona or North or South Carolina, anything like that. We barely have 1 million people here. Okay, but I don't care how many people we got here. We play football here, and we do it well. Okay? I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone want to say and compare us to whoever or whatever. I don't care about that. Okay, we play football well here. Okay, and that's the bottom line. We have a lot of great coaches, and even more, we have a lot of great players. So you know what? Whoever said that, and the people who said that over here, they can go kick rocks. Okay, we do good things in Rhode Island for what we have, for all the issues that we have here and stuff that is going on. We do really good here, and that's all that really needs to be said. So anyone else got anything else to say? Like I said, they can go kick rocks as far as I'm concerned.
They could kick rocks. Get them, M. But you're absolutely right. Look, my boy Dante over there in Cumberland, did great things. Freshman up there, UMass Dominant, 5 touchdowns. Coach Edwards said, Rhode Island ball players, yeah, they got a chip on their shoulder. And he's right. So I've been hashtagging Rhode Island can ball. Rhode Island can ball. Because we got kids in college, 2 weeks in a row, we get the MASCAC Offensive Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week, Xavier Truss, Player of the Week.
Yep.
Rhode Island can ball. JP Mason, another one. He was Offensive Player of the Week. So if UMass can win this week, they'll crack that top 25. And shout out to what Nadine Robinson and Herlin Perry's doing behind them pads. Definitely reach out to them. They need help getting out to San Diego. They're doing great things. So hopefully people listening, reach out to Nadeem or Herlin if you want to know a little bit about their journey. But they're going to the NFL Flag Championship, Emerson. Not easy to go 2 years in a row.
No, and honestly, let me just say something about those two. Those two have been involved in Rhode Island football for quite some time. And honestly, with those guys, I don't think they get enough respect as they need. Those gentlemen are doing wonderful things with them young men. And, it's more needs to be said and done in terms of giving them the recognition they deserve. And honestly, and I'll be the first to tell you, it's a whole different world stepping outside of Rhode Island when it comes to football. It's not what you're used to here. Though there's good football being played here, there's also good football being played elsewhere. And I think for any coaches, any coaches that are working with these young men, getting them ready and going out there, and not just going out there and being like, okay, I remember the term in flag football, and this is going back a few years, but when Rhode Island, and this is the way it was before, when Rhode Island teams went to the national championship, is 0-2 in barbecue. They ain't like that anymore. Like they're going down there and competing, and they're not caring who they step up against. If it's Texas, you're going down. If it's California, you're going down, and that's the way it needs to be. But credit to these coaches, these youth coaches, getting it done outside of Rhode Island. I think that's definitely something that needs to be talked about more. I think there needs to be more recognition when it comes to that, because it's not easy. I know what these coaches are doing in terms of some of them are pulling out of their own pocket to get stuff done here. Much credit to them for that. But ultimately, these guys, non-Hurling, deserve much more credit than what they're getting right now. And again, not that they're looking for that, because they're doing what they want to do because they love this sport and they love working with these young men. But ultimately, we got to give credit where credit is due. They go out there and they're competing and they're getting the job done. So, shout out to them for doing what they do and continue to do so. and continue success with what they're getting done, and just keep moving forward and work with these young men.
You know what? Like Coach Nod says, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot, shout out to what they do. They went down to Atlanta. Boom. They come back. They qualify for the NFL game. Then they go up to Boston. They didn't even have to do that. But they went and represented 401, and now they're going to San Diego, and that's not easy. And Coach Nod came on last week and said, Mikey, how many people go down south and come home very upset?
Got that right.
Not behind the pads. So definitely shout out what they do. And they're going back to San Diego. And he said, honored Emerson, honor my. Exactly. See that? Shout out to Coach Nod, There's a comment on the screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, no, I see it, man.
Okay.
Now, if you listen, man, you know it, man. I tell everyone, I don't talk about our history, but me and Now got a lot of history together. And we've played together on semi-pro. We've done a lot of stuff together, and I know that man's heart is in football. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, he's one of them guys, honestly, and I know he knows this too. He gets excited and things get rolling, and and a lot of times you need a guy like him, besides you to really get things going here. But what he's been doing over the past couple of years with these young men is absolutely incredible. And I know he's teamed up with Hurlin, who honestly has, Lord knows that man has history with working with these young men over the years. So I mean, it's a really good tag team there to work with these men and young men, and honestly, they get it done. And that's all that matters. But like I said, they definitely need to have a little bit more recognition than what's going on right now, because honestly, it's not much. For them to be, and again, not just traveling like, oh, let's get some experience outside of Rhode Island, going outside of the border of Rhode Island and getting it done. That means a lot. That means those two guys are really working these young men and really instilling what needs to be instilled in them to be successful. And that's what this state needs. And like I said, it's definitely good to see. It's been a long time coming for the state, and I know we need all the help we can get when it comes to that, and it's going to continue to push and work and get the job done. But ultimately, that's what the state needs. So again, shout out to them too for getting it done, and continued success out there in San Diego and getting it there, and and getting it done there as well. But this is something a lot of folks need to a lot of coaches need to follow their lead when it comes to working with these young men and overall success.
You know what, Emerson, thank you, man. I know it's late. I know you have to get home. I appreciate you coming on like always. Shout out Coach Nod. Shout out Behind the Pads. Listen, if you're a sponsor, you want to get behind the pads, you can reach Coach Nadeem Robinson on Facebook. If you need me, send me a message and I'll link you up with my guy. Or you might see him on the job site drawing football plays on the sheetrock. But I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But
I can see that happening. He's probably like, yeah, I already do that. He probably does it in the sand. And
it's happening.
Then scrapes it away after.
I got a good sauce. I got a good sauce. But shout out to what Coach Nod's doing, and I'm glad he's coaching up on the high school level. Coach Hurlin's over there LaSalle doing his thing, So these guys are finally getting their chance, and a lot of brothers out there need to get their chance as well.
Absolutely.
Look, he said he's hands down the best mentor I've ever had. So woo. Even his students were going. His players were like backing him up all the time, So these kids really believe in what these guys are doing, and we need more guys like this in the community.
Absolutely. I mean that's it right there. I mean, and these good dudes that are about the kids, not about the money, not about the prestige, or anything else. It's about getting these kids to the next level. I mean, and I'm looking at the comments here. Coach Mark there. Known him for a little bit, another great guy. And honestly, he's definitely about this too. And the comment is basically what he's about too. Getting our youth prepared for a successful future. We need guys like Coach Mark, and Coach Nod, Hurlin, and myself, and the rest of these guys here. That's what this is about. You know,
And if you want to hear from a student, there's a comment up there now. Hands down, the best mentor I've ever had. Now
and I know now I ain't telling him, yo, go post on this right now because
no, not at all.
You know that's legit. That's 1,000% legit right there. And again, if you got young men saying that, you know what's going on. So again, you know, that's exactly what this state needs, and I'm glad that I know them, and they're doing their thing and getting the job done.
Thank you, Emerson, man. Have a good night. Be safe. I'll talk to you soon, Coach Nod. Good luck. Definitely support what Coach Naga doing behind the pads. Help these kids get to San Diego.
Absolutely.
All right, Emerson. Have a good night.
You too.
It's always good to have M on. And before that, we had Coach Piver up there in North Smithfield, talking about what's going on in his division, man. But salute to you guys. Salute to. Go check out the Willie Edwards interview. And another good show. We had Nate Turner from the NFL talking his advice on how to get to the next level. So check this out. If you got a classic car, bring it September 19th to the Musquamaket Beach. You actually get admission to the fair for free. The Fall Fest is going on up there. Good time. Come down to Musquamaket. Let me get this. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Coach Mark, you're welcome to come on, promote your team. Let us know what you're doing. Good luck, everybody. This week, thank you to everybody that really helps me. Fans Only Sports, R&R Elite Recruits, Mark Wright. This man's a big supporter of youth sports. Mark Wright, Coldwell Banker, Coastal Homes, and you all know my guy Emerson. Mark Wright. This man's a big supporter of youth sports.
You nervous with butterflies in your stomach? Don't try to intimidate me. You couldn't scare me with lip. I'm spontaneous, smart, dangerous, fancy and quick. My trainer told me to work. He ain't prepared me to quit. I'm the only captain who's sailing this championship.